Hello, and welcome to the World of Autism podcast, a podcast about all things autism. I am Dr. Jeff Knight, and I'm on a mission to create hope, peace of mind, freedom, and confidence for these children with autism, and in serving their families to help create the happiest, healthiest versions of themselves. In this podcast, we dive deep in creating many different solutions, talking about resources, and providing insight and stories of hope for families that suffer and have challenges with autism. Please join with me, and I look forward to connecting with you. Hello, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is Dr. Jeff Knight from the World of Autism, your host of the podcast. Welcome to episode 12. I'm excited to be here with you. It has been a minute since I've been on here, so please forgive my absence, and I'm excited to be back. So today, I wanted to follow up with the last episode that I published, which was the focus on generational toxicity. I hope that was valuable for you. If you haven't listened to it, go back. It is really an interesting topic where I dove into how toxins can be passed generationally, 4 generations, in fact, from great-grandparents all the way down to us in our current situation with our lives. So we're going to follow up with the importance of detoxing, and specifically how to make sure to set yourself up for a successful detox. You hear about detoxing all the time. A lot of people will talk about a 21-day cleanse, maybe a 3-week detox or a 10-day detox. And sure, that can be beneficial and helpful to some degree for sure, without a doubt. However, I'm going to help set you up for success. So when you have to go deeper, and I would say anyone that's going to do a real detox, you have to go deeper to really make a difference. And when I mean deeper, some of these things, it can take months, if not years, to fully detox your body from certain chemicals, toxins, hidden infections, etc. So you might ask yourself, okay, what do I need to do in order to set myself up for success for detoxing effectively and efficiently? And I would use a phrase that I like, and there's a couple different phrases, but one is, we need to make sure your drainage funnel is completely open. Another term I've used and I hear other people use is make sure those downstream detox pathways are open. So why is this significant and why is this helpful? Let me give an illustration to what that means. So let's imagine driving in traffic. And let's say I'm trying to drive, I live north of Salt Lake City, about 25 to 30 minutes north of Salt Lake. If I get on the interstate and I want to get to Salt Lake in 25 minutes, ideally I can do that if there's no traffic. Now, if we have rush hour traffic, or maybe there was a wreck, or maybe there's just a lot of construction going on, guess what? That 25 minutes may take me more like an hour, maybe even more in the worst case scenarios. So if we use that analogy and apply that to our health, then this is what we want. We want to make sure that the ease of exit for toxins is smooth, just like it is taking that 25-minute commute rather than maybe an hour plus that could happen. And that's why opening up those downstream detox pathways or the drainage funnel is so important, because it will allow that exit of the toxins, chemicals, hidden infections, etc., to be able to be eliminated more effectively and efficiently. So me personally, I prefer a 25-minute commute to Salt Lake versus an hour or longer. And I would imagine anyone else does too. So the next thing that we're going to talk about then is how do we open those downstream detox pathways or that drainage funnel, and where do we focus and where do we start? So I would say the first area of the body that needs to be supported, and we need to make sure it is functioning right in order to have an effective detox, is the intestines, specifically your colon, otherwise known as your large intestine. If the large intestine is backed up, if you're constipated, if you're struggling to just eliminate your feces, if you're struggling with normal bowel movements, then that's an issue. Why? Because when we're pulling toxins out, and if we want to get them out of the body, and if you're not pooping regularly, then that means those toxins are going to be hanging out in your body a lot longer than we want them to. And sometimes it may be that we redistribute those toxins to where they end up going from one area to the next, and it never really gets out because we can't poop it out. So critical piece is making sure you're pooping every day. All right? Now, what are some simple things that you can do at home if you're struggling with constipation? Here's a few easy things that anyone can apply. Number one, I would say, is make sure you're drinking enough water. That's probably the easiest thing, is getting plenty of water in your body. That can help support detoxing. And I would definitely make sure you're drinking quality water. I would avoid any tap water because there's a lot of chemicals and toxins even in our tap water. So drinking plenty of water can be really important for helping with bowel movements. The other thing is movement. So even just exercise, getting out, moving your body. The more we move, the more blood flow that our body's going to be pumped throughout our body into our muscles, into our organs and glands. And that is going to be something that also can be very helpful. Number 3 is taking more vitamin C. So you can take up to 2 to 5 grams of vitamin C easily. And usually that can be plenty to support your body, number one, for antioxidant support, etc. But also, once you hit a certain threshold with vitamin C, then your bowels actually start to move a little bit more. Since it is a water-soluble vitamin, your body will let you know when you've had enough vitamin C. And you will start going to the bathroom a little bit more frequently, okay? So increasing vitamin C can be a simple thing to help stimulate more bowel movements. Another home thing that you can do is increasing your magnesium. Magnesium is also known to help with stimulating the movement of your bowels to get those eliminated. That's something that can be very helpful. Another tool that I've used for individuals is aloe vera juice. And aloe vera juice, also a great resource and tool. There's other products out there. I know there's so many different good ones that people talk about, but that's just a few simple ones that I think a lot of people probably have access to and can be utilized in order to help with that, with the bowel movements. So drainage funnel number 1, downstream detox pathway number 1 is pooping regularly. The next area of the body that needs to make sure we're supporting in order to make your detox effective and successful is the liver. I would say the liver is probably the most underappreciated, maybe overlooked organ gland in the body. It is so critical, and I find that pretty much 95+% of my patients that are dealing with chronic conditions, including autism, have some need of having their liver supported. The liver, just let me share with you some of the functions of the liver. So the liver helps with detoxification, of course. It helps with digestion. It helps with hormone function. And it also helps with immune system support. So it's pretty incredible what it's doing, and it definitely has the ability to influence the whole body in either a positive or a negative way, depending on how well it's functioning. So liver support is critical, and there's several different products that can be really beneficial as far as how to make sure that liver is working properly. The liver, though, if you're not giving it the support it needs, then that can be a big issue. So you'll hear people talk about the importance of making sure you have bitters. Some people have found certain enzymes to be really helpful. There's other herbs that can be really beneficial too. I've got a handful of different go-to products, homeopathic stuff, herbs, etc., that I'll use to get things working right for the liver. Sometimes you can even just go to a health food store and just say, "Hey, do you have any liver support?" And they'll have something for you. They could point some things out. The liver, though, again, it is so important, so crucial to our overall health and making sure that our body absolutely is doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, so next area of the body that we need to make sure those downstream detox pathways is open are the kidneys. That is another piece of the drainage funnel. Kidney function is another big piece here. Why? Well, the kidney, if you think about it, it's filtering hundreds of gallons of blood every day, nonstop. It's working all the time, filtering our blood, taking out the waste and the debris, putting that into the form of urine, and we're peeing it out. So kidney function is a really big part of detoxing. So if we need some help there's a lot of positive options as well. I would say too much sugar definitely can interfere with good function of the kidneys, as well as pretty much any other part of our body. I would definitely minimize the sugar and the processed foods. I would definitely reduce food coloring. I would reduce a lot of the high fructose corn syrup, the man-made chemical sweeteners that you find in a lot of different foods and beverages. All those things are going to really make life a little bit more difficult. The body can handle it, obviously, but the question is, how long will it be able to handle it before maybe certain things start to fall apart, or things just not working like we would want? So make sure you're giving some love to those kidneys. Make sure you're giving it plenty of good fluids. And what's interesting, there's a point where you can actually drink too much water, to where the kidneys are saying, okay, that's way too much. I'm feeling a little overworked, and I need to reduce the quantity of water or blood that I have to filter because of all the water that you're drinking. So anyhow, just keep that in mind. I know that's not something people always talk about. It's always that most people are not drinking enough, but in some cases you might be drinking too much water. All right. So we've got colon and large intestine. We've got the liver. We've got the kidneys. The next spot I would talk about is our lungs. And our lungs are actually a detoxing organ as well. We detox every time we're taking a breath in and a breath out. Our body actually is detoxing when we're breathing out. It's getting rid of gas and waste and chemicals that our body is saying, hey, I don't want that or need that. All right. So breathing is really important. I would definitely focus on helping people learn how to belly breathe as much as possible. There's a really good video that I loved showing my kids when they were younger, from Sesame Street, and it was a video focused on belly breathing and the importance of trying to help bring in a higher quantity of oxygen. And it's also a great way to help relax and calm and soothe ourselves. Breathing can be one of the most underutilized beneficial tools that we all have access to. They can also have maybe the most profound effect on our health just from doing something that we do every day normally. And so focusing on diaphragmatic breathing, so belly breathing, getting those deep breaths in and breaths out, and I would say breathing through the nose is the best. Of course, when it comes to kids on the autism spectrum, they might not be able to grasp all this. And really, there may be some games you could potentially play or try to incorporate that could help them maybe just take even a minute or 2 minutes out of their day to do some breathing. And you could maybe pretend to act like you're a fish, or you're some kind of an animal or whatever. But getting some good deep breaths breathing in the good air and breathing out the waste and the air that we don't need. That can be also really helpful. Another organ gland that I would focus on is the lymphatic system. And actually, I guess I shouldn't call it an organ or gland because it is a system. It's like, the circulatory system, the nervous system. Those are all different like tubes. And of course, the nerves go throughout the whole body. But the tubes of the arteries and the veins, that's the circulatory system. The lymphatic system is kind of similar. It's got a bunch of tubes that it also will use to push excess fluid and waste that's been gathered by the body into the lymphatic system to get rid of and to remove it from the body. So to give you an idea of the lymphatic system and how important it is, because it also gets overlooked and oftentimes isn't even really thought about. So lymphatic system, so anytime you have, let's use a simple example. Imagine a swollen ankle from getting a sprain. So your ankle gets all puffy, it gets all, sore, you've got some bruising, all that excess fluid going to the ankle. Well, where does all that fluid end up going to once you start to heal? Well, the lymphatic system will actually absorb that excess fluid, which is a bunch of white blood cells going to help repair. It'll absorb the excess fluid and that will then pump it into the lymphatic system will pump that fluid up all the way up the trunk of your spine, and then it'll dump it right behind your collarbones into your vessels up there. Then your vessels will actually push that through the liver, the kidneys. Your body will filter the waste, and it will then pee it out. Okay, so the lymphatic system is super duper important, super duper helpful to make sure that's functioning right. And that's a really key piece for detoxification as well. Some simple things that people will do to help with the lymphatic system is you'll see those little mini trampolines, like even just jumping on one of those pretty regularly can be really helpful. Or, if you don't have a little one, then go jump on the big tramp. But yeah, little tramps inside, there's the vibration plates that people will stand on, and that can actually help stimulate lymphatic flow. There's lymphatic massage, there's dry brushing, there's different points you can massage on yourself. And all that can be really helpful to make sure your lymphatic system is flowing right. Okay, so that's another key piece. And then last but not least, I'm going to include the skin. The skin is also a detoxing organ. Every time we sweat, that's a good sign. The thing that I get concerned about is when people are not sweating when they should be sweating. And that's a sign that there's some different challenges going on internally, possibly and most likely with the mitochondria, which the mitochondria, those are important components of all of our cells that help with energy production, detoxification, immune system support, several different things. The skin, though, can often be like a safety valve, I would say. For example, with the liver. If the liver is struggling to detoxify, and let's say you have not been supporting the liver the way you should, then guess what? Sometimes you'll see things show up in the skin. And the skin is more of an indication that there is likely an underlying toxin or infection. And so if you're someone that has eczema, or let's say you have, little pustules or little bumps on your skin, or different things that just show up randomly. Maybe it's some hives or rashes. I would definitely think, okay, the liver, the kidneys, they are probably not being supported effectively. And so we need to do more work there. And if you do that, and if you start to do that effectively and you're detoxing, then the skin will and it should start to clear up. It can take some time, but the body will let you know, and you'll be able to make sure that things are working the way that it should. So those are the key downstream detox pathways, the key areas that we focus on when it comes to the drainage funnel. I would say all that is going to be absolutely game-changing for you if and when you choose to detox. And when I'm talking about detox, I'm talking about heavy metals. We know how severe mercury, aluminum, and lead can really trigger things for individuals on the autism spectrum. Also, typically those kids have a harder time eliminating toxins by themselves. So making sure these downstream detox pathways in the drainage funnel, making sure those things are open is going to be super duper important. So heavy metals, environmental toxins, glyphosate, different types of chemicals, parasites, mold and fungus, yeast, bacteria, viruses, radiation, all those things definitely are things that can cause stress to the body and influence how well somebody feels and how well their body's functioning. So getting those downstream detox pathways open is going to be a really important piece of this whole puzzle. And if we forget to do it and you start detoxing, then you're often going to see more symptoms. You're going to see more symptoms in the form of discomfort, maybe headaches, maybe agitation, maybe aggression, maybe frustration. Those can be things that can really be challenging for families, especially if you have a child on the spectrum that has a hard time communicating already. And so your only way of really understanding is their body language. And so detoxing isn't necessarily always a walk in the park and easy for anyone, even when you do the downstream detox pathways and you open up that drainage funnel. It doesn't mean it's going to be a piece of cake. There's still oftentimes symptoms that people experience. So I would just remind you that let's do whatever we can to set yourself up for success. And I'm excited because I've created some different protocols and specifically some foundational protocols to help prepare anyone and everyone to make sure that they can have a successful introduction to detoxing. So before I get any of my patients that start to detox, I make sure we cover and clear these things. And if there's obvious concern, then there's ways we can use some specific products and supplements that will just make sure that drainage funnel is open. But be on the lookout, as I am going to be launching some group programs here in the future and wanting to create a community for families with kids with autism. I know how important it is for you parents to know that you're not alone and that you have support, that there's others that are in the trenches with you. And so that's one of the big things I'm going to be pushing and working towards as I get things organized and going here sooner than later with those programs. I'm going to create an opportunity to have families connect and to have a resource where we can be a community to rely on one another. So as always, it is such an honor to connect with you. I so appreciate you taking time to listen to this episode today. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share some insight and wisdom with you that can help you and your family. If you found this episode to be helpful and insightful, I invite you to share this with a friend or a family member. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our show so you can be notified as our episodes will continue to be launched and shared on this platform. Thank you for listening in and have a fantastic day. I will catch you on the next one. Take care now.